This is what an option chain scan looks like through Yahoo Finance for Intel 30 to 90 DTEs. Some of these could be legit signals from 15 minutes ago. Some maybe not. They could be stale. They could have happened hours ago. Anything you act on from this chart, you'd want to double check on your broker first. Now, let's scan with Schwab. Quite a difference. You can have more confidence things on this chart are real and timely. The deltas in the tooltip are now actual Schwab Greeks instead of Black-Scholes estimates from stale IV. The bid and ask in the tooltips are live from when the scan happened. A new feature for both Schwab and Yahoo Finance is the chart is now stamped with the data source and the time of the scan. Useful if you want to screenshot one of these to share later. And let's quickly do that for the new GEX chart as well. So here is Yahoo Finance, and here is Schwab. Looks like some minor difference. The Schwab data source is free for any Schwab brokerage account holder. You go through their free developer program, do a one-time setup, and from then on, the scanner runs on real-time data from Schwab. This is episode 2 of the Stockpile open source option scanner I built with Claude code. It will mostly be about the Schwab integration, why it matters, and how to set it up and use it. But over the course of the episode, we'll run into other things that landed since the episode. A new GEX chart, native index option support. Notice I did SPY here. A custom stockpile CSV format for manual entry of transactions of unsupported brokers like Interactive Brokers. See the stockpile format MD file in the docs folder off the stockpile root folder to learn more about that. The data source stamps I mentioned earlier. Color cues for the source toggles and scan buttons, and this floating rescan button. But the biggest addition isn't even on that list. 3 new tabs, a brand new suite of spread strategy scanners, contributed by community member LG Bings. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. The first outside contribution to this project. This is a whole episode on its own, but I'm not sure I'm qualified to cover it. And if anyone is interested in supporting the Interactive Brokers transaction log format in a contribution, please reach out in the comments. I've had a couple of requests for it, but I haven't been able to get my hands on an example transaction log from them. But we'll stay focused on Schwab integration with real-time data this episode, which in my opinion is a huge win. If you're new here, episode 1 walks you through what the tool actually does. The volatility surface, the IV+pp ranking, the chain view, the portfolio scan, linked in the description. It's slightly out of date, but still worth a watch to understand the core of this option scanner. We'll do a quick recap and move on to Schwab. So the rest of this video makes sense to new watchers. Type a ticker and hit scan. The tool fetched the option chain and fits a smooth volatility surface across each strike and expiration, and ranks each option in tables below by how far above or below that surface the implied volatility is. Green dots, this one doesn't really have a green one, but that's kind of green, are IV rich relative to neighbors and their sell candidates. Red dots below the line are IV cheap buy candidates. The tables underneath let you see the details. There's the currently selected expiration table, and then there's the top candidates table, which lists all candidates across all expirations that had top candidates. Episode 1 covered all that in detail, plus roll mode and the portfolio scan. One thing I failed to mention in episode 1, the filters only apply to what's shown in the top candidate table. If an expiration has a top candidate, it will show all options in that chain regardless of whether it meets the search criteria. That applies to the table and the chart. Now let's compare Yahoo Finance with Schwab as a source for option chains. In episode 1, I called out the limitations. Yahoo Finance is free and works out of the box, but it's got some problems for option chains specifically. 4 things: stale implied volatility. Yahoo returns the IV from the last trade, not a live market maker quote. On thinly traded strikes, common on leaps, deep out of the money, low volume tickers, that trade may have happened hours or days ago. Stale IV distorts the surface fit and produces false IV plus PP signals. No real Greeks. Yahoo doesn't provide delta, gamma, theta, or vega. The scanner computes delta from black shoals using Yahoo's IV. So if the IV is stale, the delta's wrong too. No live bid ask. The bid and ask are from the last market refresh. For active near-term options, that's fine. For leaps or thin chains, it can be meaningfully off. And Yahoo throttles. Sometimes the API just returns nothing. The scanner caches for 5 minutes to soften that, but once the cache expires, you can still get scans that come back empty. Schwab's Developer API fixes all four: real-time chains, live bid ask, real Greeks calculated against current quotes by Schwab's own model, and the rate limits are far more generous than Yahoo's. A portfolio scan of 30 tickers runs comfortably without throttle errors. It's free for any Schwab brokerage account holder, no subscription, no usage tier. If you don't already have a brokerage account, there's a referral link in schwabdatasource.md. You can probably pick up a small cash bonus when you fund one, and I don't get anything from referring you. Schwab brokerage is solid on its own, and it just happens to have, in my opinion, the best free options API on the market for retail. Now we're ready for the meat of the episode. Anyone watching this section is here because they want to configure Schwab as their option chain data source. Everything I'm about to show you is in schwabdatasource.md in the repo in the options scanner directory. You can pause the video and follow that doc. It's the source of truth. There's 5 steps. 2 of them involve waiting for Schwab, so plan for a few hours or days of elapsed time, even though active work is maybe 15 minutes. My approvals came through the same day. Taking a step back, first you'll need an actual Schwab brokerage account. The Developer API runs against your real account credentials. If you don't have a Schwab account, you'll need to open one. A referral link is in the Schwab Datasource MD file. Again, no kickbacks to me, but you may get a bonus depending on the amount you start with in the account. If you already have a Schwab account, skip ahead to here. Go to developer.schwab.com and register with the same things you use for your Schwab brokerage account. Fill in the basic fields. It's not a long form. Then wait. Schwab manually approves developer accounts. Mine took a couple of hours, could be longer. You'll get an email when you're approved. This is the first of 2 waits, so don't plan to do this in one sitting. Come back to it once the approval email lands. Once your developer account is approved, log in and create an app. The form asks for a few things. Let me show you how I filled mine out. I'm back on the dashboard, and here's my app. Here's what I use for app description, but you can use whatever you like. Use this for the callback URL. That's the local URL the authentication flow will redirect to once you log in. The scanner spins up a tiny local server on that port for OAuth handshake. This one's important. Request only market data production. Do not enable trading or account management unless you really have a need. The scanner never places orders, never reads balances. There's no reason to grant those permissions just because they're available. And submit your app back on the app create page. You'll get a client ID and client secret after the app is created. Treat them like passwords. Anyone with both can hit the Schwab API as you within the permissions you granted. Don't paste them into chat. Don't commit them to Git if you fork the stockpile repo. The scanner reads these from config.toml, which is in the repo's git ignore. Verify this if you're on a fork. Be very careful with config toml. Keep it safe and secure once you've configured Schwab with your ID and secret. Then you'll probably have to wait again. Even after the app is created, it could take some time before the credentials are live and accepting auth requests. Look for this status here, ready for use. This is wait number 2. If you try to authenticate too early, you'll get a confusing error, and that's the cause. Let's set up the config toml config file. Copy this config toml example to config.toml and then open it in your favorite editor. Set this data source to Schwab if you want it to start up with Schwab, or you can just leave it as Yahoo. And then paste in your app key and your secret key right here. Once you get those from the developer portal, the token path can stay at the default. Save it, but please make sure you don't add this to a git commit. Config toml should not be in git, and don't share it with anyone. Now a one-time authorization to create your token. Number 3 right here. From the stockpile repo root directory, run this command. This opens a browser tab and sends you to Schwab to log in. Log in with your broker credentials, not the developer account. The developer account is just for managing the app. The actual data access uses your brokerage login. You'll get a scary looking SSL warning. That's expected. The local callback server uses a self-signed cert because it's running on your own machine on localhost. Click Advanced, then click Continue. Then you'll approve the app, and on the page it takes you to. The browser redirects to the local server. The script grabs the OAuth token, writes it to the token file, and you're done. That token refreshes itself silently from then on. Every scan, every portfolio run, no further interaction. Now in the web UI, you should be able to toggle between Schwab and Yahoo Finance. And you should see Live right next to Schwab. Everything still works the same as before, only you're using Schwab instead of Yahoo Finance to get your chain quotes. When you see the buttons blue, you know you're using Schwab. And that's the whole setup. Congrats if it's working for you. Let us know in the comments if it's not. I accidentally swapped my ID and secret, which confused me for a while. Run a few scans. You should see some slightly differing results now depending on whether you use Schwab or Yahoo Finance, with Schwab being the preferred source. And a big thanks to Claude for an amazing job of implementing all these new features. The conversation with Claude looks something like this with testing and iteration. Add Schwab Developer API as a selectable data source. Toggle in title bar. Auto-detect unconfigured credentials. Use Schwab-py. Don't break the Yahoo path. Add a gex bar chart below the IV surface. Aggregate across expirations. Compute total gex. Regime label. 0 gamma level. Document caveats in the README. Claude helped me form that one. Add a new stockpile CSV format and a validator where a user can manually enter transactions if they use a broker not supported. I just described the feature with enough specificity that there's little or no ambiguity. Claude builds it. I scan a couple of real tickers to sanity check, push back when something looks wrong, commit and push once I'm happy. Supporting the Schwab integration would have been a multi-week project before Claude. With Claude, it was generously an hour of prompting plus another hour of testing and polish. Again, a huge tip of the cap to Claude. Before Claude, my software project estimates weren't so great, usually taking 2 to 5 times longer than I would estimate. Now things have flipped, and that's after I adjust my estimates because of Claude. I'll estimate a few hours for something that used to take a few weeks, and it takes 30 minutes. And it's better code and better documented. Claude's been a real game changer. If you want a feature that isn't in the scanner yet, drop it in the comments. Most of the new stuff is from comments made on episode 1. And the same fine print as episode 1, but with a like and subscribe reminder to be even more annoying. Please pause and read it. The link to episode 1 in another of my videos should have just popped up, and let us know what tickers have the most interesting differences between Yahoo Finance and Schwab for you. And have a profitable day.